Thank you very much for taking some time out of your very busy schedule. I know you're a busy man. We'll start with the bread and butter. Obviously, kind of 2-3 months into the new season. How's it going?
It's one of those we could have done better. Result-wise, we've missed out on points that were. Really, if we'd have been playing well, we'd have picked up a lot more points. They have shown a lot of signs of recovery now. After we had one really bad game at Reading, and then we recovered from that. And the lads have really done well, if I'm honest. Apart from individual errors, which we've got to cut out, because I still think the whole league is wide open this year.
The big one everyone's talking about, of course, is the local derby, Swansea versus Cardiff. You're first as a Cardiff manager.
Yeah, they're all fantastic, these derbies. It's what. You look at the fixtures as soon as they come out, wherever you are, whichever derby it is. My obviously Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday from when I was a kid, and it was always the first game, and I'm sure Swansea and Cardiff will be the same. Two passionate crowds, all they'll all be having digs at each other, I'm sure, in the build-up and everything, and it's an important game. I've never been the manager that said it's just another game. I've read somewhere, even at Sheffield once, the other manager said it's just another game. I thought, no, it ain't. It's an important game. Yeah,
and obviously last season they played was 13-14. It was 1-1. So how are the players feeling about it going onto it?
Well, they've had a good start. Swansea have done really well, and all credit to them. So. I suppose it'd be nice for us to go down as underdogs, but we're looking forward to it. I think it's a good stadium, and 13-14. It would have been nice to have this derby in the Premier League, but we're both where we are, and both desperately try and get back up there.
And obviously, you got Cardiff into the Premier League, which everyone thought you couldn't do, which you did. You're the master of that. 8 times, I think, you hold the record. But talk to me about your time in Cardiff. How are you finding it in Wales?
Well, it's just been amazing. I've had a long career. I think it's my 40th year this, but it's taken me all this time to find a club that have been, I've really enjoyed turning it round, really. And the fans have been with me every minute of the day from the first game I was in charge here, Bristol City, I think it was. Through the good and the bad times, majority of the fans are really well behind me. And you're always going to get a minority, I'm afraid, but that's because that's football. And sometimes the grass is not always greener when you talk about managers, But it's a game we're looking forward to, and I think both clubs could. I just hope both clubs behave themselves and there's no trouble. We don't want any trouble now after what we've seen over the last few days around the world. We just need to concentrate on two great football clubs having a good battle.
Obviously, I was going to talk to you about that. You've had such a long career, and you've seen not just football change, but society change. Obviously, the racism that England experience is something that's still in the UK. What are your thoughts on that and your experiences?
Well, we're no angels over here. We should have done more. We should have given severe penalties. We mess about, we fudge the areas, and UEFA's the same. They should, when you saw that was really planned. It was pre-planned, the Bulgaria, England, the way those thugs were there from the start, that wasn't just by accident. And when you saw the level of that, then there's no other reason. They've got to ban them, ban the country from continuing in that competition. And if it happens again, ban them from everything. Because that's the only way to get rid. We're too soft in these things. The answers are, you find somebody. I think they got fined. The last country got fined more than I did. I got fined more than they did. Sorry, when I got mouthed off against Chelsea last year, and my fine was more severe than what they fine these countries for racial abuse. It's ridiculous, really. We've got to put our own house in order, and we've got to try and help the rest of the world do similar.
And I was going to say, we look at other countries, but in England especially, it's still rife. So what can clubs do? But how can managers and clubs help?
Well, I don't think you can do anything about the individual one that wants to run on the pitch, for example, or wants to shout abuse when one of your lads is taking a corner kick or something. But what I like about England at the moment and Wales is that the fans are actually shopping them. These people that are involved now, they're being reported. And with the cameras around the place now, the CCTV, it's quite easier to find these culprits, and then you can kick them out forever. And that's what needs doing. Not banning for a year or two, but kick them out forever. It's the only way now, because you see fathers and sons and children and things like that. Wherever You know, it's not gone away from here, but it has been better over the last few years. But over in the country, the world overall, I think it has come back. It has come back a little bit more over this last 12 months.
Do you think England should have walked off?
No, you can't let them win like that. You know, they did the best thing by scoring 6 goals. So you know, it's one of those things that I think they did the right thing, doing the protocol, making the referee aware, putting a voice out, you know, putting the tannoy, which is the second step. And you know, I think it might have been close. It might have been thought about coming off at one stage, but that would have to be down to the referee, not the players. But as bad as it was, it's a great time to make an example, because you don't get any worse than that. And your pre-planned people like that, the thugs, you know, they just came to make trouble, and that's why it's an opportunity. And you know, I see the president of Bulgaria has got rid of the football president, and quite rightly so, because they must have known they were going in there for that one reason, and the police, they should have had police to sort them out, but nothing was done, and now they're going to pay the consequences.
We look at these footballers coming through now, the younger ones, that they have such a privileged position with the money, where they play, where they travel, but they also have to deal with quite a lot as young men.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's a great life, isn't it? I mean, it's growing up. It's been here all the time. It's not just come this last few weeks. Things like that, and it's not just racism. There's all sorts of accusations and things, you know, at young players that are pushed at them. So it's a matter about growing up a little bit. You know, I was disappointed when we had to change everything from the apprentices not cleaning the boots and things like that. You know, apparently it's not allowed now. You know, and things like that. But I thought that built the respect as well for these lads. Things like that. I think we've gone a bit too over the top now. You know, everything you say something. You know, I think conkers were banned from a playground a few weeks ago, and from what I read, you know, it's health and safety. I think we go from one extreme to another. So you know, yeah, the lads have got a lovely life, or a cushy life at times, but they work hard, and they've got to be aware of all the pitfalls. You know, it's not just the racism, the gambling, and everything else, because they do have it a lot easier now.
Yeah, and obviously you've been around in football, I think 50 pre-seasons, I think Sean Morrison said that you all worked out in America. That is a long time for anyone in any one job, but especially in football management. How on earth do you keep going?
I win more games than I lose. I think that's the answer, really. But I've always taken over clubs that have seen better days, really, on the field of play. And I think when I leave a club, it's always, I look back and think, you know, have I left the club in a better position? And I have, really. In all the clubs I've left them in better positions. And I think that's what management's all about. Nobody can win every year. You've just got to do your best. But what I like is to give my fans passion. I like them to see oohs and ahs and shots and saves, and you know. And I want passion, and I want my fans to be passionate whilst behaving. And they have done since I've been here. The Bluebirds have been unbelievable away from home. The atmosphere has been incredible, and they brought it on board with me. It feels almost like a family now. My wife's never been happier, and she's had a lot of problems over the last few years, but she loves the fans. You know, we go out and she ends up taking photographs instead of selfies. You know, she takes photographs of the fans with me, and Sharon's really, you know, loved it, and it's the first time I've seen her like that. And she's never met anybody like it, and that's how they are in Wales. And I'm sure, you know, the club is geared now to go forward and go on and become a top club over the next 15, 20 years.
Obviously, you're from Sheffield, and very industrial, a bit like Wales, and obviously you've got a place in Cornwall as well. So there's quite huge similarities to being in Wales, and I'm guessing it makes your off-the-pitch life nicer when your family are happier. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, in Sheffield, there were steel workers. You know, my dad was a steel worker. We slept in a 2-bedroom semi-detached, me and my brother and sister and mum and dad. You know, I slept top and tail with my sister. You know, so, you know, we go back a little bit to before the modern times. But the Yorkshire people, like the Welsh people, they earn money hard. A lot of these people have to work the socks off for the money, so you've got to give them value for money. And I think that's why I like Welsh people and the Yorkshire people, because we say it as it is. I mean, it's cost me a few quid over the years saying it as it is, but I'd rather be like I am than people that sit on the fence and, you know, whisper behind your back. I think they are that type of that type of club and supporters that they demand everything, and I'd like to think that I give them that excitement. Yes, I know I've got critics, etc., but I have to sort of bite my tongue with that and just get on with it.
Well, Sean Morrison said there won't be a manager like the Gaffer ever again in terms of personality and charisma. You obviously owe him a few bob for that. But on a serious note, the game is dwindling out of kind of what people really want to say, because people are scared to say things, aren't they?
Well, I mean, it's ridiculous the way things have gone, really. To be fined £20,000 for what I said last year against Chelsea, a game that probably cost us the staying up, and no action taken against officials and things like that. For me, it was really disappointing that. But I suppose after all these years, you just have to accept and get on with it. It's not easy, not easy at all. But that's life, and we have to move on, and that's what we've done. We lost a lot of good players in the summer. You're going to do that when you get relegated, and you have to try and build the club back up and the squad back up to then give you a chance. And we still feel that we've got a good chance this year.
4 decades as a manager, what's been the best and worst thing that's happened in modern era football for you?
Well, you can't really pick the worst, because there's been so many. I've had so many fines over the years. I think they're on first names with me now at the FA. It's never Warnock now. I think it's Neil now. Are you coming in today and welcome?
You set up a direct debit yet?
Yeah, I think so. That's what we want. But it's obviously the relegations have been really blows. Nearly every relegation that I've had, there's been reasons as well, and it's been really bitter when I look back at the Tevez thing with Sheffield United. Stood there. I felt that was an injustice. I felt it was an injustice last year against Chelsea. I thought that was really diabolical, really. And so they've been disappointing times for me. But I've had so many rewarding times. I mean, to get promotion with a group of lads here was probably as good an achievement as I've ever had. But I had lovely times at Sheffield United and QPR and Crystal Palace, and even Rotherham. At Rotherham, it was probably my best 17 games in my career, because we were 6 points adrift and nobody gave us a chance, and we went in and made a group of players, and I'm not being disrespectful to those players, but they were average players, really. Made that group of players think we were invincible and go on a run like we did, and the backing of the chairman there, Tony Stewart, was fabulous, and the fans. So even things like Rotherham bring back happy memories for me. And my first clubs at Scarborough and Burton Albion, winning things with them. I'm still the same manager, really. Going back to my Gainsborough Trinity days. So nothing's changed a lot. I've had to do it the hard way, because I haven't got a big name and I never played at the top level. So you have to do it. You have to get a team and take them up to whatever level you want to do as a manager, and that's what I've done. I've tried to make it exciting for the fans, and to try and give value for money, and try and have as much success as I could. When I set out at Gainsborough, I had a few what I would like to do in my career, and it was, I would like to take a team to Wembley. I'd like to walk out at Wembley. Then I would love to manage Sheffield United, and then I would love to get Sheffield United to the Premier League. And we did that. I mean, to get that, when I went to Sheffield United, the crowd was 8,600 the game before I took over, and I left them with an average crowd of 25,500, with a new training ground complex, with a new stadium almost, and a great, I left them in a fabulous situation, even though I left them on a bit of a cloud, because I fell out with the chairman there at the time. So, but overall, I've had some super times. Notts County, going back, look where Notts County are now, non-league, and I took them up 2 divisions in 2 years, which was unbelievable, really, to get to the top flight. So every club's really got a memory. Huddersfield was super. Plymouth Argyle, the Green Army, they are amazing fans as well. To go to the other end of the country from Plymouth, believe you me, it's 2.5 hours to get to Bristol, let alone Carlisle. So, but they're the type that I love playing for. I love people that care, that are passionate, and these fans that I've worked for, I'm hoping that they'll always remember me because of the way I was.
And do you think that comes from the roots of where you and your family were from originally, that everyone's sticking together and being together?
Yeah, I think when you're brought up like we were, I mean, we had food on our table and things like that and that, but it was a really hard upbringing with my dad. My dad was a crane driver, 16 hours a day. He worked shifts. My mother had multiple sclerosis, so she was in a wheelchair from when I would remember her. So it was hard, that. And Dad wanted us to do things, and that's why the Sheffield United thing was an escape for him. And that's why I love going there. And I never forget going through the turnstiles, and I sneaked in. I didn't used to pay. I used to get through the turnstiles underneath my dad, up the stairs, and the big cop, and looking out there, and looking at Brammer Lane. It had a cricket ground on the one side when I was a kid, and there were no trouble in those days. You know, they used to lift. We used to get there late because my dad worked till 2 o'clock on a Saturday, so they used to lift me up. I used to lift me up on the top of the heads at the back of the cop and say, right, go down to the front, stay there, and I'll pick you up at the end. And they used to pass me down on the front to the kid. Now they throw you on the field, won't they? Now things have changed, but they're happy times for me. Then Dad would have been proud, really, of what I've done, really.
Obviously, you played football, but talk to us about what it's like to be standing on the touchline in front of a packed stadium, because obviously a lot of people dream about scoring goals at Wembley, but management's a different kind of dream, isn't it?
Yeah. Playing was good and scoring a goal was good, and I had 7 or 8, 9 clubs, and I made a success out of being a failure, I was told, as a player. But as a manager, you do feel responsibility. It's like, when we have won a game, after the game, and then when I go in the shower or what have you, and the lads are warming down, I think about all the kids and mums and dads, grandpas and grandmums, all going home, talking about the game and the atmosphere and that. And that's what I'm in for, really. That's why I'm in it, and that's why I've always got time for people that come up and talk to me, and when they've been a Bluebird 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and shake my hand and things like that all over the show. And it's nice, that, because that's how I am. I want to make people happy and the best I can, and it's a cutthroat business. To stay in, I don't know how I've stayed in it as long as I have, really, because it is really a cutthroat thing, a business. But that's what I've done. I've given value for money, I think, wherever I've been. And I think the players, if you're playing against my teams, I'm not sure we'd be top of the list who you'd want to play against. I think my teams are always difficult. And I think if you ask the players that have played for me over the years, most of the success that we've had at other clubs, they have reunions every few years. You don't get that anymore now, because they're just bothered about kiss the badge and they're off the next week, aren't they? Whereas all these clubs that have had promotion, they all have reunions, and it's great to see the lads get back together again, and if nothing's happened. And I get really proud when I see that. And I'm sure Cardiff will do the same in years to come. They'll have reunions about the promotion side, and the fans will remember certain games during that period. Which is that's what it's all about.
Being on that touchline as well, you've done a couple of things lately which have been made into GIFs, and I'm not sure if you know what GIFs are, but they're little replays on Twitter and Instagram. Are you aware that you make such gestures because the fans love it?
Not really, no. My wife, my daughter Amy, she's 21 now, and she does inform me of certain things. She's on certain media outlets and things, not at Twitter. People say, why don't you go on Twitter? I thought, wow, that would be suicidal, wouldn't it?
I think we'd all pay for that, Neil.
I'd get a few, what do you call them? A few hits.
Retweets.
Yeah, retweets. But it's, I think, Amy always keeps me informed in that and lets me know. She's my confidant. She tells me when players are saying things they shouldn't play, say as well. So I've got my backup there. And but it's good. I think it's a good thing that people pick up on it. I think last one she sent me a YouTube thing of me and Pep Guardiola or somebody. He's impersonating me, I think. And there's all sorts of things on the from my half-time team talks at Sheffield United. They used it once in the sixth form when she was at Plymouth College, and she told me, and I said, "What, did they bleep?" She went, "No, it was the original." I said, "Oh my goodness me!" So you do things like that, but I don't think I can ever change that. I am what I am, really.
I was going to talk about the half-time chats. Now, thanks to YouTube, we can see them all. But in terms of player management, man management, Has that got more difficult over the years with modern technology, phones, and the modern footballer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and money. Money's made it more difficult. I think I was at Palace, and I realised then how difficult it's been. I mean, you've got players then socialising with chairmen or owners, and obviously if you've dropped them or you left them out, they're not going to say anything good about you to the chairman, and then they listen, and all of a sudden there's unrest, and which is rubbish really. But the players have got all the power now. The players really run the place. I'd like to think that they respect me, and that's why I've got a good dressing room, but it has changed an awful lot now. It's not easy for young managers in particular. You've got to deal with everything now. It's not just a matter of tactics and things like that now. I am Marjorie Poops. One day I'm thinking, the next day I'm talking about gambling, or we're talking about the kids, or they're off sick, or the missus is not very well, and there's 20, 30 things that go wrong, and we've just got to get on with it and deal with it all. They talk about management, and they talk about the League Managers Association. They've got a Warwick University diploma, but it doesn't tell you about these things. When you get phone calls at 6 o'clock in the morning from somebody who's had to go to accident and emergency with a kid or something, it's you have to deal with all that. And the main thing is, I've always said to all my players, your family's more important than football. And if you've got to miss a game, you've got to miss a game. You don't got to worry about that. Nothing more important than your family.
What's the best excuse you've ever heard from a player?
Possibly that he had to go. This was Adel Tarab at QPR. He got me promotion. Scored 2 great goals against Cardiff. He did.
Whoops.
The year we got promotion. He come to see me one day and told me that a friend of his had been shot, and he had to go back to France. Could he go back for the funeral, etc. And all this. It was in, So I said, yeah, of course you can. And he missed the game on the Saturday, and we had a game on the Tuesday, and on the Sunday he was coming in. He was coming back on the Sunday, and I told my secretary not to let him out of his sight. For the Monday morning, he had to come up to Barnsley. We were playing Barnsley on the Tuesday, and she said, he's here now, but he's not coming. I said, well, don't let him out of his sight, get back up. So when he came up to the hotel, I asked him, did everything go well? He said, yeah. But in the meantime, he didn't realise that his passport had been lost, and somebody had found it and brought it back to the club, so he couldn't have possibly gone abroad. So I asked him, did you go back to France, did you? He went, yes, it was bad, and blah, 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 and I let him go off and off and off. I said, oh, well, when are you going again? He said, oh, it'll be a few weeks' time. I said, well, do you want your passport then, son?
What did he say? Was he shocked?
To say the least, yeah. But he was a gem of a lad. I loved him, so, he got me promotion. So,
obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with you in Cardiff. Hopefully you'll stay for a long, long time. I'm sure the fans do. But what will be kind of your lasting memory of Wales when you finally do move on to wherever you go?
I think, all the Wales bits. We talk about Cardiff and the Bluebirds, and the football's been great. But from a family point of view, I've loved going down to places like Narberth, Mumbles, daft as it sounds, Swansea coming up, going down to the Mumbles to take the dogs walking, etc. And all around the areas. We've lived at a lovely place near the sea, and I've enjoyed going into the valleys and seeing supporters from where in their own local clubs, and being able to have an evening with them and talk like I do it without it getting all reported on the media, etc. So I've had some good times here. They're really genuine people here, and that'll be my memory. How beautiful it is. I didn't realise how beautiful Wales was because I've never been here before. So it's been great in that respect. And
has the experience, football and off the pitch, has it surprised you how much you've enjoyed it?
Well, I think everything surprised me because it's about 8-9 years ago now I was going to retire. So it's things keep cropping up and the challenges keep coming, and I do enjoy. Yes, we all have down, and when you get to my age, you probably have a downer, as I did at Reading this year. When your team doesn't play so well, and every manager has doubts and what have you. But you've got to pick yourself up. There's a lot worse things in life. You've got to get on with it, and that's what I've done. And when I look at my players give me everything, and that's what I love. I love the fans getting behind us and seeing them, and I love clapping them after a game when they know that we've given everything, win or lose. We lost at West Brom and they were clapping us going round. It was fabulous. So You know, it's. I think the happiness that I'd like to put into people will be all, you know, my memories.
In terms of people you've played over the years, who's been your favourite manager to obviously have a 1v1 against? Who do you enjoy battling against?
Possibly Arsene Wenger, because my teams always did well against his. And, you know, one game Jagielka went in goals. I never used to bother with a goalie on the bench in those days. There were only 3 subs. And we beat them 1-0 that night. We drew in the cup down there. I remember they moved to a new stadium, and I was speaking to him before the game outside, and we looked across. We were on the halfway line looking across towards the stand, and I said to him, Arsene, look at the dugouts. They were miles apart. I said, look at the dugouts, Arsene. I said, you'll not hear me today. And he's up here, 6'6". He's bigger than you think. And he just looked round like he does, and looked round at the dugouts, and he went, Neil, you will find a way. And I thought, and I did enjoy battles with him and Marino. So it's, you know, you've got a lot of good memories.
A couple more questions. In terms of, obviously, you've played and managed over a lot of decades. What has been your favourite decade, personally and football-wise?
I think every decade's had different things, so I don't think you can pick a decade. You know, when you're first starting, you want your first promotion, or you want your first, you know. And so I've got happy memories, like I said, about all the non-league clubs that I had to start with, and then every club I've taken on board to try and get them better over the, you know, the second decade, the third. I mean, where it's gone, it's just flown, absolutely flown. It's frightening now to think I've been in it all that time, but you know, I've got some fantastic memories, and I think that's what I'd like to think that the fans who I've managed in the past, going back as far as Gainsborough and Scarborough and places, you know, will remember the times that I had, because you know, they were all special times.
And if this was your final season as a manager, signing off with Cardiff City with a promotion is surely the dream.
Well, I try and win everything wherever I am, whatever I do, and this year is no different to anything else. I think the league's wide open. I'm disappointed we haven't got a few more points at the moment, but you know, I still think we are improving now. So the object is to, you know, make sure that we keep improving and give a good account of ourselves in the second half of the season. I think the first half of the season, I know the same teams you're playing, but I think the first half of the season is a little more difficult, the fixtures, than they are in the second half. So I think it's quite possible to have a good run after Christmas and what have you. So we've just got to hang in there.
Well, I think whatever happens, you've been an absolute legend on and off the pitch in every club you've managed. So thank you very much for the chat.
Thank you very much.